Hussein Shinan,
AC Sheehan,
Sean A. Lane,
Ali Aziz Khatom,
Christopher Ramos,
Akeem Ali,
Vincent M. Sullivan,
Ian L. Chen,
Abgad Sabir Fela,
Nicholas J. Zangara,
Michael W. Mitchell,
Alsen Khatib,
Tori G. Datzler,
John D. Amos,
Taif Aziz Amkeke.
Marcus M. Cherry,
Hussein Shinan,
AC Sheehan,
Sean A. Lane,
Ali Aziz Khatom,
Christopher Ramos,
Akeem Ali,
Vincent M. Sullivan,
Ian L. Chen,
Abgad Sabir,
Nicholas J. Zangara,
Michael W. Mitchell,
Alsen Khatib,
Tori G. Datzler,
John D. Amos II,
Taif Aziz Amkeke.
That's the article north on
alright.
sidewalk, shoulder to shoulder.
Attention everyone. Deputy Chief Jack Kalecki, the Chicago Police Department. Attention Saturday, March 19th demonstration participants. There is no permit to assemble at Oakland, Michigan or to march down Michigan Avenue. Two courts have held that assembly at Oakland, Michigan and a march down Michigan Avenue is not permitted. The organizers failed to obtain any permit for assembly and march on March 19th. Still, the City of Chicago will accommodate marchers with an alternative site as follows. 11 o'clock a.m. assembly at Washington Square Park, 900 North Clark between Oak and Delaware. 12 noon step off south on Clark Street. Proceed south on Clark to Federal Plaza for a rally at 2 o'clock p.m. The City of Chicago and the Chicago Police Department respect your First Amendment rights.
Sure you
It
do.
is our honor and responsibility to protect your rights to demonstrate and speak freely today in a reasonable time, place, and manner which ensures public safety. Yours as well as
really
others.
don't want people to go to jail.
Assembly in Oakland, Michigan is unlawful. A march down Michigan Avenue is unlawful. If you violate the law, you will be arrested and miss the march. The point is to march. Please do so lawfully. For updates, see www.chicagopolice.org. Prepared and distributed by the Chicago Police Department.
My name is Bill Massey. I'm from the Answer Coalition. I am here as a veteran of the Korean War. I've also been in the Civil Rights Movement and did jail time with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I find that the city's actions are completely outrageous and against anything that is constitutionally right. There is no legal right for the city to allow us straight. The Constitution allows the right of free speech and free assembly. It also allows the right of a free press. We have been threatened with arrest if we hold this news conference. We are holding it. We will stand up for our rights. If it means going to jail, we will go to jail, but we will be back out and on the streets, and we will continue this struggle until we win. Thank you. We have seen in the past, in past unjust wars, that when the authorities see the tide turning against them, that they respond with attacks on civil liberties
police had
Michigan is not where they were supposed to be. What? And protesting
More
for
now.
Michigan.
Walked on stage dancing. Which guy you got? Oh, really? Yeah. Nice. That's
I'll get you over
Did you meet him?
You have a great poster. What do you think about a nice makeup? What do you think about the war?
Well, first of all, the war is illegal, and the politicians of the United States of America had no right to go into Iraq. Absolutely false. And they need to pull out immediately because they're in violations of international rights, Geneva Conventions. And as far as Iraqis go, they're suffering daily. Children are being killed. The numbers go as high as 100,000 civilians killed. And we're seeing a change in the world where the Middle East has become the central focus, and Iraq seems to be the hot spot right now. Unfortunately for the Iraqis, they are daily facing the American occupation. We want the troops back now, and we want the Iraqis to live a decent and civilized life as free people.
My brother.
Your brother, his name is?
Sergio de la Vega.
What do you feel about his safety, about the war? What do you think about it?
It makes me sad and frustrated because I don't know how he's doing over there.
You are worried about him?
All the time.
All the time. Your mom and dad, where is?
They're at work.
Are they worried about him too? Are they thinking about your brother?
Yeah, of course they are. They let me come here because of that.
I hope you will come home safely.
I hope that too.
Take care. So, where are the Yankees is going to go? I mean, is there any place left for Yankees to go? Where are you going to send them?
no, I don't want to send them anywhere. I just want to live in peace with them.
Okay.
Not in the war.
Okay. So what do you think about high schools? Why they are recruiting, especially for poor high schools?
I think that Bush or the military recruitments assume that because we come from low-income families that we can't go to college or we're too dumb to afford to go to college. So they say, oh, here's another way to go. So join the military. But that shouldn't be. Bush should, or the military recruitments or whoever should, encourage their children to go to college and to become better people in their lives instead of being murderers and going to war and doing nothing but killing anybody. What are they doing? They went to war just because there was weapons of mass destruction, but there wasn't any. So what's the purpose of being there?
Thank you.
Well, I don't want to go into where we there. Let us march. 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 Now. Bush twins. It's black.
We must not surrender. This war in Iraq has no moral foundation. The Bible says, unless the Lord builds a house of labor, they labor in vain. The basis of a preemptive strike without justification does not exist. No lie can live forever. No imminent threat, no weapon of mass destruction or Al-Qaeda connection, all about the oil and hegemony. None about justice and peace. A democracy at gunpoint under military occupation is no democracy at all. Do not be deceived. There is no moral foundation for what's happening in Iraq today. The madness will not stop. They can steal, but they cannot steal our conscience. We'll fight back. This land is our land. We'll fight for peace in the world. God bless you and keep.
Our first speaker in a second. I want to say something before that. There are independent, mainstream, reputable organizations who say that over 100,000 Iraqis have been killed or have died because of the U.S. war and occupation. Over 100,000. And we also know that over 1,500 American soldiers have died in that war as well. And those soldiers are not the children of George Bush, and they're not the children of Bill Clinton, and they're not of the service to the United States. There are children. There are communities that are dying. African American young people, Latino young people, Arab young people, white young people, poor working people who are fighting this war. And so we can brave a little bit of cold, and we can brave potentially a little bit of rain, and we can struggle against this police presence over here who already arrested one of the main organizers of the March 19th Coalition and another organizer for Amnesty International. Arrested them for nothing but standing on the corner of Oak Street in Michigan to say that I have the right, that we all have the right to say that we're against this war. We're against all U.S. wars. We're against all U.S. intervention. We're against all the claims of the U.S. government and prosperity and democracy to Iraq and to Afghanistan.
Yesterday morning as I got up at 5 o'clock and was getting dressed, I did local news in Flint, Michigan to the news that another one of my young men from the Flint area was killed in Iraq. So I stopped for his mother because I know exactly what she feels. Continued dressed. Flew out at 6 o'clock yesterday morning to Fayetteville, North Carolina to kick off this incredible weekend across the United States of America. And I got news yesterday that it's international. Yes! We have mothers speaking in Greece. We have mothers speaking in London. And it's we the people that are going to continue to put a face to this war. And we will continue to connect. Because if you connect, you take away their authority. If you let them keep us separated, they keep authority. I will not stop. 2 years ago, when President Bush sat in his White House, my White House that I could not get to, and made the declaration of the war on Iraq, my son was already there. Hold up, sorry. I know what cell phones do to these things. On April 2nd, when I turned my television remote and it stopped to the words Black Hawk Down, South Central Iraq. The next day I got that infamous knock on the door that it was my son that died. And after my son died, I remember falling on the ground and I couldn't even pick myself up. And a voice went off in my head as I was screaming to the air, why did it have to be my child? Why did my child have to die? And a voice came in my head and said, why not your child? Who are you? The pain would not touch you. Who are you? The pain will not touch you. Who are our elected officials? The pain will not touch you. Just because they send our children and we allow it. That's what I've realized. So what I've also realized is that when I got the news of my son's death, I could have allowed my grief to swallow me up. And I could have stayed in my home with my mouth shut and bled for the rest of my life over the pain of losing a child. But others like Pearlie that have had their children in Iraq and now have the threat of having to go back to Iraq. That's why I cannot stop, and I will not stop, and I do not have to fear man. I came to Chicago because tomorrow at 3 o'clock I'll be at the Chicago Temple speaking for the American Friends Service Commission. It's about peace. By whose authority do we dare go into someone's home and shove democracy down their throat? By whose authority? That is not what this country was founded on. And we as Americans need to stand up like we are nationwide today. And I want our elected officials today, as they turn on the news and see the peaceniks, as they call us, I want them to understand that I am a registered voter. And so are you. And it is our vote, because we will mandate that they will never, ever, ever be stolen from us again. And we will hold our chief elected officials accountable. So they expect us to be out here like this. You see all the police officers, they expected this. But what they don't expect is that you go to their city council meetings, you go to their Congress meetings, you go to Washington, D.C., and you stand in their face and you hold them accountable, and you dare not let them kill another child. I want to thank all of you for being able to give me a voice and for giving my face the face of what war looks like. And remember, together we have the authority, but separated they have the authority. Yes! So continue to be connected together. Thank you guys. I'll see most of you tomorrow, I hope.
You can vent your frustration with the friends against the oppression. It's the only we can vent your anger, but that's not enough. We have to vote, we have to organize, we have to hit them hard. That it hurts. Okay. From the votes, from the streets, from the lobbies, we will. Okay, thank you.
Thousands of Iraqis, especially children, have been killed by bombs. This is an immoral and an illegal war, and we need to bring our troops home now. But instead, they laid the groundwork to expand the war and destabilize Iran, Lebanon, and Syria. Destroying Iraq isn't good enough for them. Now, nor are the million men and women in our armed services enough for them. The George Bush war machine wants you too, and they want your children. Everywhere you turn, the Pentagon is denying it wants to reinstate the draft, but at the same time, it laments that recruitment is way down. So they've turned to mercenaries, and they will increasingly be used to fight their war with your tax dollars. While reinstating the draft only feeds the war machine. In fact, we need to get military recruiters out of our high schools. They need to stop harassing our children. And the $1 billion that they spend on slick radio and TV ads and friendly and unfriendly neighborhood recruitment or offices ought to be put in the education budget. They tell us this is a war for democracy, but that's a joke, because George Bush came to power by stopping democracy at home. To vote to blacks and Latinos in Florida. They built on that fine record last year with hackable voting machines that don't accurately tally our votes. And in countries like Haiti, where democracy was thriving, they arrested President Aristide and forced him at gunpoint to leave his own country. While they purport to cherish democracy, they really have a disdain for it. Democracy in Venezuela, India, Spain, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and Uruguay has produced proud people imperialism, coup attempts, and destabilization of their country. And the good news is that resistance is spreading. The worse they are, the stronger we become. And worse they will become because they now also aim their sight at China and at Russia after they finished balkanizing the Middle East. But to you and to them is that we won't be fooled. We know the truth and we won't be stopped. So stay strong, my brothers and sisters, because we got a lot of work to do.
America is not one country, more than 30 countries. America is not one language, it's a lot of languages and cultures. But we can live together in peace and respect. In Cuba, for example, they have been suffering 40 years of aggressions, 40 years of plots, omissions, violence. 5 of these Cuban men that have been fighting against terrorism in this country are now in jail, and some of them condemned. Please remember the 5 men that have been struggling against the violence that is supported sometimes in this land. Please remember all of these women and men in Latin America, in Central America, in Guatemala, in Nicaragua, and El Salvador that have been killed in the name of freedom, peace, and dignity. Remember those women and men that have been affected with the great idea of the Plan Colombia. Colombia does not need more guns for peace. Colombia needs justice for peace. And those who don't understand that are the real enemies. The real enemies are those who promote the war and violence. Not those people who want to be tried with respect and dignity. Now is the turn of Venezuela. We are trying to build a new way. We are trying to find our way to progress, to peace, to give help for those people who need it. But now we are the enemies. And I want to say and to invite you to reflect why we are enemies, why we are now a country that this administration has to be worried. Because we are giving food for children, because we are thinking that the people need education, because we think that Latin America needs a better future, because we think that all of us have a right to live in dignity in this world. If those make us enemies to those who think that the war is the solution, we are the enemies. But our guns are the words, the reason, the education, the support and solidarity. Know those guns that kill people like in Iraq right now. Bolivarian Revolution and Venezuela is just looking for a better future. Few days ago, one officer from the Department of State said to the Venezuelan mass media, the U.S. administration don't know what to do with Venezuela. And we as a Venezuelan have associations. Respect us. Just one thing more, because I have 5 minutes. We are brothers and sisters, don't forget that. And we are struggling for peace in any country and in any language. Paz para el mundo. ¡Viva la unidad latinoamericana!
He passed away on July 12th, and we received a call from him on July 10th saying he was coming home soon in approximately about 2 weeks to a month. So we're really excited. However, we received that devastating news the 12th, and I was with my mother that day add up. So we knew something was wrong when the officer told it was non-combat, and that day we did receive some information from the soldiers who served with him saying there was things on the base that we needed to know about. And at the funeral we actually got information from his captain telling me that they switched his shift. He reported to work at 7 p.m. and they told him he had to change his shift to do civilian duty at 7 a.m. He did report to work, and but then they tell me he passed away at 5 in the morning. That's when they found him. However, there's many discrepancies around his death. The information we have is that there was a lot of drugs in the air base, and my brother was one of the loaders in the for the airplanes, and he calculated their weight. So he saw a lot of things that were coming on the base at that time that we don't know about, and you don't really hear this in the corporate media. There was a lot of, he did mention a lot of drugs when he came home in May, that he was very upset about this, and this has been confirmed by many of the soldiers who served with him, and a lot of them were giving some kind of medication to take this drug out of their system because there was investigation because of my brother's death and this to see about the drugs at the base. Also, there's been, I'm sorry, it's just brings memories every time I have to deal with this. We were wondering about his belongings, and when we did receive them, his pictures and medical records were missing. And then a soldier actually mailed them to me and told me to really look at his medical records, and there was some forged paperwork in there. And we have that evaluated. Also, his laptop, they had placed some kind of security system, which I know that every time someone tries to actually log on the computer, the password, it automatically resets. And we do have that information, and there's something in that laptop we're trying to figure out, so we're getting it evaluated at this moment. So, and they're trying to tell me and my family that it was self-inflicted, and I can tell you from the autopsy we have conducted in the armies, there are many differences. Our autopsy states it was a 9mm, and they're telling me it's his rifle. However, his rifle was actually shipped to Fort Hood for his. And when the people who served with him are giving us other information, telling me and my parents not to believe them because there's something going on at the base. And all I can tell you about my brother is he was a wonderful person, and he was getting married. He was an accountant. He had his whole life ahead of him. He did so much for his 25 years, and now I'm never going to see that again. And they won't tell me what happened. They keep lying to me and my family, and it's really hard for me to see my mother, and I don't know what to tell her, what to do. All they can do is just keep people aware of, we really need to find out what's happening in Afghanistan, and what's happening at the base, what happened to my brother. That's all I want to know is who did this to him. I have so many names, and thank God for giving us the opportunity to be with John for these 20 years. And all I want is the truth. I know something's wrong, and that's all we want, is for them to stop lying to us and giving us false information and just tell us the truth and who killed my brother. That's all we want to know.
Pueblo ya no está triste, mi pueblo vive cantando.
Hello, welcome to Who Are the Cuban Five, a conversation with producer-director Eric Torres Alvarez. I'm your host, Mary Seals Smith, and I'd like to introduce you to my guest. He's the producer and director